Hi, JDL Brushes here, and this video is brought to you by the Marker Brush Pack. So right now we have another living room, and I'm starting out with the usual rough sketch, which I'm not entirely going to what am I trying to say? It's just a rough sketch, and I'm not in a relationship with this sketch. It's very platonic, and it's just there to kind of fill a certain goal or a certain purpose, and in this case it's to serve as a good enough foundation. I'm not trying to be exact, I'm just trying to get the feel of the room or the general idea of the space, right? If I wanted to get an exact match, I would just trace, right? But what's so cool about having to sketch your design? It's not even my design, so it's much easier to do this way if you don't have something to design. But the reason why it's nice to rough out your sketches is because you can make your own kind of changes and adjustments, and you can leave things out if you want, and you want to make sure that you are the master of your end visual product, right? So here I think I had a kind of a lag problem, and I had to basically restart Photoshop, and it does happen from time to time. I'm not sure if it's Camtasia, my recording software, but yeah, it does happen. So right now I'm back, and I'm now starting with a new phase after the rough sketch phase, and that is the flats. I call it the flat phase, or the flats, and it's where I use the selection tool. Almost always I use the polygonal lasso tool. A lot of architectural spaces are kind of have straight edges, so it's not gonna be as curvy for the most part. So yeah, although I have to admit, I'm not comfortable with the pen tool, and hopefully one day I can use it to do more precise curves for my selections, because for the lasso tool it's kind of hard to do curves and it just doesn't feel smooth. So yeah, so right now I'm still in the flats phase, and I'm just blocking out the major kind of the average color of each element of the space. For example, the furniture, the flooring, the wall, the windows, and the ceiling, even that kind of curtain thing right beside the window. And usually when I do the flats, I do it on top of the rough sketch, but all of the flats are in a multiply moded group. Each layer isn't in multiply mode, but rather the kind of group within all those flats are in a multiply mode. So the reason why I do it is because I want to see the rough sketch beneath the flats. Or you could just simply put the rough sketch above the flats. But yeah, eventually I will be hiding the initial rough sketch. And yeah, I think I did the kind of fireplace right in the center of that wall there. And you can see for this sketch, with the way I did the flats, it's kind of it almost feels like a collage rendering. If you go to Pinterest or any other kind of architectural project site, you will see some renderings wherein it's kind of where they use a lot of photos, kind of a collage type of illustration, and it has this kind of fade out effect where the edges of the illustration are kind of chipped off, as you can see right now. And yeah, I think it's a nice kind of graphical style, and it can add to that more conceptual kind of feel, right? So if you're not, or if you have some kind of initial design idea, this is a great way to render it. Of course, with the marker brush pack. But yeah, again, this also fits my personal style, where it's very kind of a, it's not vague necessarily, but it's it gets the mood, it gets the feel, and yeah, if you're not a very detailed kind of person, or if you're someone who has kind of a conceptual inclination, or if you have a lot of ideas, this is a great way to illustrate them. It's super fast, and it actually looks good, you know, and you don't have to use traditional markers. And yeah, and you don't even have to erase, or you can actually erase, and it's way more safer in this way. And right now you can see me working on some of the darker shades, just adding that extra kind of bass to the flats. And I think right now I am adding some of the lighter shades, usually either in an overlay or maybe even a hard light, but I usually go for an overlay or a color dodge whenever I do the kind of lighter shades. And right now you can see me work on some of the fine lines, kind of tidying up the all of the kind of flats together. It kind of fills out or defines the edges and helps to separate which element from other elements. Yeah. So I think I removed that kind of diagonal thing in the fire, yeah, in the fireplace, and that's what I mean by being able to do your own adjustments, right? So, yeah. Although I'm not in the sketching phase anymore, and I think I already hid the rough sketch, but again, doing these kinds of sketches digitally is a huge advantage. And yeah, and once you're done, you can just copy it or place it in another kind of file where you can start arranging your presentation boards or slides and such. So it just helps, you know, saves time. And right now you can see me use some of the adjustment layers, the color balance. For the shadows, I try to bring out the purples and the blues, and for the highlights, I generally go for the reds and yellows, increase them. It's generally the kind of a temperature that I want for my renderings. And I think I'm basically done right now, and I wasn't supposed to. Oh, yes. You can see me use the color dodge tool and the burn tool simultaneously, and it just adds a little more oomph or energy and variation in terms of values. It gives very gradual gradients, and you can see how do you see that? It looks really cool if you use the burn tool and the color dodge tool simultaneously in the very end. in a flattened kind of version of your entire sketch. And now I'm just resizing it for Instagram and stuff, and there you go. That is an interior sketch with the marker brush back. So whichever your art, whatever your tool, make it beautiful.